Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we are talking about WWE 2K22. I was really not intending on picking this up, primarily because of how badly they screwed us with WWE 2K20. A game that is broken and will forevermore be broken. Also, the main pull of it, the story modes, for the last two games in fact, have been absolute cringe nonsense. It's just been the worst, unpleasant characters I've ever come across. And Red and Trey just makes me want to vomit. And Buzz isn't a whole lot better either, so no thank you. However, having seen some of the first impressions, it didn't sound as bad, so I picked it up. And you know what? Fair play. Taking 2 years off was absolutely the right call. It's much improved from both of the previous games. I mean, it's not perfect, but there's a lot to like about it. The wrestling has been retooled and it is fluid and fun. I don't think there's a stamina meter. I mean, the tutorial's not the best in telling you everything, but I'm pretty sure there's no stamina meter this time around, so you can just waylay people with moves. It's far more sort of fast action arcade wrestling than it is simulation style wrestling. But to be fair, they always did that rather poorly, and you were better off with stuff like Fire Pro anyway. So we have a few notable returns and some upgrades and stuff, which we'll go through. And of course the Showcase mode, which this year is based around Rey Mysterio. Now, I'm not a particular fan of them basing an entire game mode around one wrestler. I mean, say you don't like that wrestler. If you don't like Rey Mysterio, it's not such a great game to play. I'm not the hugest fan of Rey. He does the whole big man, little man, David and Goliath shtick too often for my liking. So, there's that, you know. But it does feature one of my absolute all-time favourite matches, and that's the Halloween Havoc match between himself and Eddie Guerrero. And replaying that, I think it was the first match in the Showcase mode, was fantastic. And it really made me miss Eddie Guerrero, to be perfectly honest with you. It didn't make me go, oh wow, Rey Mysterio, cool. It made me go, damn, I miss Eddie. He was just the best, man. Absolute top draw fellow. I can't say his name enough, and yeah, as you would have seen from the opening, we sadly lost Scott Hall today as well. Well, not today, I think it was yesterday in fact, from when I'm recording this. Another fantastic performer who, you know, he had his demons and they got the better of him for a lot of his life. But then to go in and have, you know, an operation for a hip replacement and suffer 3 heart attacks, that's rough, man. And obviously my thoughts are with his friends, his family. I mean, seeing the people come out the woodwork saying nothing but nice things about him, that's cool. So on that somber note, let's talk about the rest of the game. So they've returned My GM mode. I was never a huge fan of My GM mode. It does allow you to obviously manage your brand and sort of draft wrestlers. You're on a budget, and so you can't just draft all the top tier guys. You actually have to sort of work out who you should and shouldn't be buying. The time I've tried it, I think I probably was a bit too cautious in the draft and ended up with quite a small roster. You can pick up other wrestlers as free agents. Some you can get permanently, some are on like a number of weeks contract, which you can then renew once it's up if you want. It's okay. It just lasts a year, I think, and a lot of the success of the matches seem to be pitting sort of different styles against each other. So you could have like say the Bret and Owen Hart matches that we had, and how fantastic they were. Now in My GM mode, that would have resulted in a terrible match because they're the same sort of type of wrestler, they're technical. Whereas if you have a high flyer and a giant against each other, that makes for a bloody great match. Right, I'm not sure how that works, because no, normally those matches are bobbins. So what else do we have? We have the universe mode. The universe mode is basically you can just run through all the shows. I don't know if there's an endpoint to it really. There's rivalries that pop up with cutscenes and stuff like that. You can also do, I think this is new to it because I didn't really play universe mode either, because like the last few games, as I say, haven't been very good. So you can play as one superstar, and then you can go through universe mode just playing them. That's kind of an interesting one. I like the theory behind it, but the fact that you can't skip matches means it gets pretty dull pretty quick. So, for instance, if you're building up a feud and you just want to play the payoff, you can't be asked to play like, 50-50 fucking booking for like 5 weeks, like WWE normally do. You can't skip them, you have to play them all. So, with splitting one wrestler for that in many matches gets a bit boring, if I'm totally honest. The storyline mode is much better. It's not as cringe. There's still a few moments that it has. They also seem to be doing sort of stories within stories. My dog is chasing his tail. I don't know why he's doing that or why he waits for me to start recording before he does that. Wait! Leave that alone, it's your towel. Stupid. He's already blown one recording by deciding to drink noisily. It's his birthday, so I thought I'd let him up, but apparently no. No, we shouldn't be letting dogs up. Right, I will ignore him and continue. Yes, don't look at me like that. It's your fault. Yeah, so what they're doing is basically you sort of have your storyline. You start off in developmental, and then you go to one of the 3 brands, which NXT is now a brand. Fortunately, it's the 1.0 version, not the 2.0, which just basically gutted everything everybody liked about the original NXT and added rainbows, as far as I can tell. I don't know. WWE, when will you just like stop taking away everything your fans like? It just makes no sense. So yes, you can go right under 3 brands, but inside those that you have a number of locations that you can travel between, and at those locations you have superstars, and you can talk to them, and they will usually give you a storyline. So I think some of the footage I catch was the Mixed Match Challenge, where I spoke to Naomi. Her husband was injured, so you need a replacement for the Mixed Match Challenge, obviously the male replacement. And then you go through a storyline of doing those matches, winning it, Jimmy being a bit pissed off because, oh, you won it, and you've got to be GM for a night, and you want to be world champion, but I want to be a world champion, so now I've screwed your chance at the world championship up, so we're going to fight. And then you finish it. Each one is marked as either a heel or face, so good guy, bad guy, bad guy, good guy, in order that I said them. And you get attribute points for them and fans as well. Now the attribute points are if you do a lot of these storylines, you will buff your character pretty fucking quickly, to be perfectly honest with you. You get much better very quickly in it, which is good. Because like previous games have been an absolute slog to improve your character, especially when you're going through a storyline where some guy gets called Trey because he slips on a tray, and another one gets called Red because she's sprayed with ketchup. Fortunately, none of that bollocks here. You can't select voice. The voice does sound ethnic, which looks a little weird coming out of like if you make a white wrestler. Just saying. But I mean, I suppose make a black one then. There you go. Problem solved. Just looks a little bit weird. I would have liked a selection of voices, like 2 or 3 maybe. An English voice would be great. Like the guy that does the Saints Row English voice. That guy. He was cool. So creation mode is as good as it has always been, and the load times between selecting different parts are terrible, as they always have been. So no change there really. In the story mode you do get the choice of male or female. Once they do have slightly different paths. I mean, you obviously start in developmental and then go to different brands, but they have different storyline options, and obviously go after different titles, stuff like that. Plus, you know, you make the female one a bit more titillating, if you ask me. But I'm a man and would think that. New this year, and something that is getting fairly mixed reactions from what I've seen, is I mean, my faction, my goodness, my brain doesn't work these days. So when I saw it when I came in, it looked very much like FIFA Ultimate Teams, in that you get cards and then you use the cards and then you spend money to get more cards, and there is some of that to it. I don't think it's quite as bad as like FIFA Ultimate Team, because basically it's not online. It really removes the competitive aspect by not having it online, so I don't think people are going to be dying to get the best cards because they're just beating up the AI. The difficulty level is separate from the rest of the game, so if you set it on easy, like I already have, for the rest of the game it will be dictated on which activities you're undertaking in my factions. So there are harder difficulty challenges and lower difficulty challenges which you can do and get on, and obviously the rewards for that are greater. I mean, I've gotten, you earn currency in game and you can use that to get packs, and that will give you more wrestlers. There are cards that you can evolve by doing certain challenges, like submit a guy 3 times. You have like 3 of those to do, and that will rank it up to the next level and improve the stats of the card a little bit. It's not terrible. I'm having fun with it. It's not the sort of like fruit machine emulator I was afraid it was going to be. It can be if you spend money on it, but without the online component, I think a lot of the need to do that is removed. If you're a completionist, you'll probably spend money on it, because getting enough to get every card, wow, you'll probably die before you manage to do that with in-game currency, so you will end up spending money, but don't do that. It's not worth it. Vote with your wallets, don't pay for that rubbish. There are unlockable characters in the game, of which Scott Hall is one of them, and I have captured footage from the match I had with him. I think they cost like 1,000 of the credits, and you get the credits for playing matches in some of the modes and just regular sort of quick matches. There's no new match types that have been added, unfortunately, but all the old favourites return, and it controls really well. Technically, I want to say it runs fine, but they've made a very interesting design decision which kind of ruins it a little bit. And that is, there's 2 different frame caps in it. So when you're playing a match normally, it'd be at 60, which I would have liked to have seen uncapped, but 60's fine, 60 works. But when it goes into like a cinematic move, like you're delivering like a power bomb, and it sort of the camera swoops in, you lose control and watch the move, it drops it to 30, and that's a massive frame drop. It's like a 30 frame drop. It just makes it look really weird and takes you out of the game completely. I mean, all of the menus and the intro cutscenes and the entries are all 30 frames per second, and that's not too bad, because obviously it would be better at 60, but you don't need the Twitch reaction time that you possibly do when actually wrestling. As for wrestling itself, they have changed a lot of stuff in there. They've kind of made it, you have a reverse one which is more for strikes and stuff like that. And then when you grapple, you can try and dodge it, which I never bother with. Or you can try and sort of do a rock, paper, scissors thing. So you have, let's go off Xbox controller, why not? So X will do like a light grapple attack, A will do a heavy grapple attack, and B will whip your opponent into the ropes. And if you can guess which one of those he's doing and press it, then you'll reverse him. Which, it kind of like, it works, but it's kind of more random than I'd like. But it does kind of prevent the whole thing that used to happen in previous games, where it was just like, I would counter, then he would counter, then I would counter, then he would counter, and then it was just who fucked up the counter first. So I suppose it's better than that. The kick out of pins and submissions are all button mashing, which I am absolutely fine with, because it's scaled lovely, so the more damage they are, the easier it is to obviously mash those buttons, and that's fine. I am happy with that. I am fed up with having to work out a new fucking minigame every other game as to how to kick out or how to fucking submit somebody. No thank you. They have an interesting one for ladder matches, which is on the edge of acceptability, where you have a little ball on the outside of a big ball that has a ring in it, and the ring has a hole, and you have to shoot the little ball in through the hole into the big ball, and you do that 8 times, and you pull down the belt. And I actually had to look that up on Reddit because I had no fucking clue what I was supposed to be doing, or the controls thereof. After I looked it up and attempted it, failed it, knocked off the ladder, then it popped up the tutorial message which I needed previously, so nice one, lads. I've also noticed that occasionally the intros, you know, the screens that come up before the match where it's got pictures of the 2 combatants, they'll put up the wrong wrestler on that occasionally. I've also had problems changing my entrance music, so I'd go into the creation suite, I'll change the entrance music, I'll save it, I'll come back out, the next match I go in, it's my old entrance music, and that's happened a number of times. Or sometimes it will change the entrance music when I go to the ring, but when I win a match it will start playing my old one, so it's just I believe they will allow you to upload photographic templates to add to wrestlers' faces, which is a nice idea, and something EA used to do lovely in their series of games with EA Game Face, and then they took that away for no reason whatsoever, which is a whole nother deal, but equally annoying. And come on, lads, I mean, for Christ's sakes, you did this a few games ago. I can't remember how many, it was on PS3 I think, but you let us put custom music on as well. I mean, what possible reason could you have for not letting us do that? It's not licensing, you're just providing tool, you're not providing the music. Sort it out. Oh great, now he's snuffling about. He's making as much noise as he possibly normally just lays down somewhere quiet. But because I'm recording, he's just making as much noise as he can. He's probably rolling about on the floor at the bottom of the stairs right now. I can hear him doing it. And I think he's getting steak later. It makes me sick. Anyway. So yes, WWE 2K22, vastly improved parts, still has some rough edges, which if 2K keep the license, I think this is their last contracted game they have, and it'd be interesting to see how much the success of this one influences WWE's decision as whether or not to give them the license again, as I hear EA is prospectively maybe taking it over, because they own everything, so why wouldn't they? I don't know. Sometimes you look at EA and they do something right, and you're like, oh look, good EA is back. And then they just double down on all the stuff they do wrong. You're like, oh, I was wrong. Great. Yes, Fallen Order being I think it's Fallen Order, wasn't it? Jedi Fallen Order. Being prime example of doing something right and then immediately just being the worst. So 2022, worth picking up if you like WWE games. This is the best one we've had in at least a couple of years. Well, actually more than that, because this took a couple of years to make, didn't it? So that was a stupid thing to say, much like most of the stuff I say. Yes, but I would heartily recommend it if you like wrestling games and WWE. I'm not a fan of WWE. I do have a network subscription, but I just don't like the way that they run their product anymore. I used to be a huge fan back in the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression eras, but it's just like they need to give like everybody a nickname now, literally, and they need to change up and they need to make it stupid. I mean, like Big Time Bex. Oh, I want to throw up in my mouth. Oh, and they have to do it to everybody. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you being written by 4-year-olds? Really? Come on, fuck off. I did look at AEW as well before someone puts that in the comments, and whilst I liked the product more, it just didn't have... I kind of came in like in the middle of something, and it never really landed with me. I did appreciate the quality of the wrestling, and the fact that it wasn't made for 4-year-olds, but outside of that, it was kind of like, I'm not really sure what's going on. And I didn't really see the value in, what was his name, MJF, that everybody seems to love so much. What I saw of him didn't impress me much, as Shania Twain might say. Oh. I'm going to end the video now because I've started thinking about Shania Twain's legs. In that Robert Palmer video. Anyway, guys, before I totally disappear into my own dreamland, or happy place, as we like to call it in this household, I will say goodbye. Take it easy, and I'll catch you next time.